Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Well, it's the time of year when we hear about organizations throughout the community helping people, and today we're visiting with an organization that helps people year-round, but also has a lot of focus during the holiday season, the Salvation Army. Joining me, we have Debra Gaskill and Major Beckie Stearns and Major Douglas Stearns. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Pleasure. This is the time of year when we seem to hear a lot about the Salvation Army, a lot of different programs and so forth, but you are indeed a year-round service for our community.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, we do social services year-round. I'm the case manager for emergency social services, so it's every day. We have people coming in and out, and we're giving services out. So
when we hear about the different fundraising efforts and so forth this time of year, that's helping to support what you're doing year-round.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tying all of that together. Well, some of the people who are watching, let's give them a little bit of background when they say, well, what is the mission of the Salvation Army? How do you define that for people?
I can look at both of those. The mission of the Salvation Army is to meet human needs without discrimination. And so whether that's a physical need, a spiritual need, an emotional need, whatever it is, we want to meet that at where they're at. And so that would be our mission. In Joplin, we have kind of taken on the thought process that we want to be able to ensure that as people get the help that they need year-round, that crisis turns into some solvency in their life, and we see them actually moving forward and getting an apartment and being able to pay their bills and be able to take care of the necessities of life, and only come to us then when there is a crisis. So that's our goal, and that's kind of our mission. That's not the physical statement, but
that's what you're trying to accomplish.
That's what we're trying to accomplish, is try to get people to move towards that. And we do that through a couple different ways. We do that through regular case management, then we also have a Pathway of Hope program, and that's something new, and we kind of have limited ourselves to about 20 total in that program, because it takes a lot of intense time to help them find the right places to go to get the help they need, and also to help us to help them to set goals and then accomplish those goals. So that's part of that's came about in the last 5 years.
So really making a difference in people's lives and helping them out.
Yeah, we don't want to just give a hand out, and bandage a problem. We'd actually like to look at that problem and say, how can we fix it so we don't see you again? Our goal is not to see somebody twice. Sometimes it's, it's inevitable. You're going to see somebody twice. It takes a little longer to
get up on their feet or whatever it might be.
Right. But we really want to see people supporting themselves and stuff, and not having to rely on assistance from outside agencies and stuff. So that's our goal.
Now, you have a long history in Joplin.
Yes, the Salvation Army came to Joplin in 1889, and that's actually about 9 years after George Scott Relton and 7 women lassies, which went from the Salvation Army again in London, England, which means 7 women Salvation Army officers, came and officially opened the work in New York in February of 1880. So I can tell you that Joplin was one of those on the frontier. I think they came from New York and sort of swept across the Midwest, because our territorial headquarters in the Chicago area, which is called the Central Territory, was actually established last year. It was the Salvation Army's 150th birthday, but for the Central Territory of the Salvation Army in America, it was 135 years. But Joplin's been here 127 years.
Wow, so many years of serving people. And when you say Joplin, what sort of region do you serve?
We serve Jasper County up to, we don't do Carthage, so we serve Jasper. Now, there is a Salvation Army in Carthage, and they serve
so
them,
there are different communities have Salvation Armies, and you're
it just happens to be that we're all in the same county, so kind of deciphered, but we pretty much serve the rest of the county.
Yeah, we serve all of Jasper County, and then a little bit of Newton County. If they have a Joplin address, but they're on the other side of 32nd Street in Newton, we'll go ahead and we give services to them. So,
And of course, as far as your location in Joplin, people come to you for services. Let's remind the viewers, where they can find the Salvation Army.
Okay, 320 East 8th, which is at 8th and Kentucky, and most people find it by seeing our new thrift family store, and we're a block behind that on 8th Street. And so, because that's the 66, it's easier to find and kind of get them to go that way. So we're located at the 8th Street address, and we've been there for 20 years.
Right.
So it sometimes is a mystery, but we have been there.
You've grown and changed and developed throughout those years. Well, I'd like to take some time today for our viewers, and of course we talked about the holidays and programs and so forth, on some of the activities, the things that you have ongoing, and as well as, you know, what you might be doing something new this year. I think when you say Salvation Army, I was talking to some people, they say, well, the Bell Ringers, which is probably one of your most recognizable programs.
Yeah, and we want it to be recognized. We want people to volunteer for that because we can save money that way and have more money for social services. We have Thanksgiving coming up, and we'll be serving between 400 and 500 people at the Thanksgiving dinner. And then we have bell ringing, which actually starts this Friday, and really intensifies the day after Thanksgiving, though, on the 25th. And then we have, besides bell ringing opportunities, we have angel trees out in the community. That will give people a chance just to take a kid's name and buy 2 or 3 gifts for them, and then bring them either to 320 East 8th or put them back in the boxes. Some of the locations
Companies or
have
businesses
boxes.
will have their own collections.
Right.
And then we have adopting. You can adopt a family, so you can take, you know, like if a group of employees or students or whatever. We actually had an MSSU student last year come in and say, I'm not going to be with my sons on Christmas, and I want to adopt a family, a small family. And so he adopted a family with 2 children and provided all the food and several really nice gifts for both of the boys. And so it was really kind of fun to see him get so excited about being able to give back that way.
Help out.
So there's the adoption of the family, and then we have distribution, set up for distribution, which is really kind of mind-boggling after last year. And so we could always use help there, making sure every child has a gift. And we kind of ran into a snag last year about 3 days out, and we just all looked at each other and went, how did that happen? So we're going to try something different this year.
So you
on
have a plan B this
accountability.
time.
No, we have a plan A. That the plan B better not happen.
Yeah, we don't
want to be working till 4 a.m. in the morning for 3 mornings. But we have a plan of making that accountable as they come in this year, and being able to make sure that every child is getting a gift.
They won't leave with a gift. Right.
So, but that's some of the things, and then of course we serve Christmas dinner, and have that time too. So.
And the angel trees will be going out tomorrow.
Right.
Okay.
So there are several locations in town will have angel trees out tomorrow. The Walmarts and stuff will have angel trees out the Saturday after Thanksgiving
weekend.
Yes, and then they'll start there. So, but there are many locations that they'll be. So if you see one and they want to pick a
tag with somebody's name on it,
yep.
they can help them out.
Yep.
People might be curious as far as how the process of application, selecting the people that you're going to be helping. I imagine there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes before you can get to that point of, we have some things to help people.
Right. Well, we try to take anybody that is needing assistance. We do have an income limit, but it really is, I think we had just a couple people this year that we had to turn away because their income was over our limit. But even, we took a couple people or a few families that were still above the limit, but just barely. So we're not.
So it depends on family size and situations.
And situation, we try to look at the situation. If there was just a crisis and it's going to last into the Christmas season, we take that into
consideration.
Yes. So really, whenever anybody that walked in that needed to sign up, as long as they had their documentation of what we required, which was driver's license or photo ID, social security cards for all the children, proof of their income, and proof of residency, and they were in Jasper County or just on the other side of Newton County, we tried to sign them up. So we did not turn very few away. We took just about everybody. So
this is work that's been going on. We're recording this in mid-November. This has been going on well before.
And we actually have stopped taking applications as of this day. So it's been an interesting day in the office because people are like, "You're not taking applications."
So you have to have a deadline.
Yeah, we have to have a deadline so we can plan,
right?
So that we can make sure the children get gifts. So because we rely heavily on the community for all of that, and for the canned goods and stuff, as well as the gifts that we give the children. So
this gives you a goal in mind. Then we have X number of people and X number of children that we need to reach.
Right. right? We have to know what we're working with and what we're working towards. So, and then we know that we're going to quit taking applications on this day. So I work to try to find other means for them to get assistance when our applications stop. So, people can call our office, and we do have some information about other places that are still taking applications and how they sign up for those. So we want to make sure that every child has a Christmas.
Absolutely.
So we do our best to try to make sure that that's going to happen, whether it's through us or somebody else.
So networking with the other community
Yes.
agencies, organizations to help out
Yes.
in tying that together. So it's important to keep in touch with the whole feel of the community as you're talking to others
Correct.
throughout the community and what is being done and working together. Well, the bell ringers, you mentioned needing volunteers. And people say, well,
Absolutely.
tell me about that aspect, as far as what are you asking for people
Well,
to do?
we have broken up to, our board has made a decision that we'll ring from 9 to 9. And so that's very aggressive. I guess they've done it in the past. We're a little nervous about it. So we figure if we ring from 9 to 8, we'll be doing really well. But the goal this year is to increase our volunteer hours by double. And I know that's a really aggressive goal. But we financially need to have that money kept here and not paying somebody $7.65 an hour, which is what we do when we can't
So
fill,
if you can't
especially
fill
the
a
main
volunteer
positions.
slot, somebody has to be paid to stand out there and do it.
And so, because that's the face of the Army at Christmas, and so it's been an interesting ride. And we have a new website that I did this year, and it is tsajoplin.org.
Which we
And
have up
so,
on the-
yep, there it is. And in the middle of the page, there's a volunteer button that says Christmas Volunteer. And if you click on that and you register, you should be able to pick up after you register. And I go back every day and approve the people. Then what happens is, oh, you don't want to push that one.
Whoop, wrong one, wrong volunteer. Okay, there's
Sorry, there's two different volunteer, but there we go.
Okay.
Christmas,
Christmas volunteer, okay.
And the Christmas volunteer is just a shorter application because you don't have to go through a background check to ring bells. And so you can fill out that, and it gives all the different listings of what we're doing and when we're doing it and the time frame and how many people we need for that.
So they can match their schedule to your needs.
Yes.
Right.
And so they can go on there and they can ring 2 hours or they can ring 12 hours. And some of the groups are doing that. But our goal this year is to double the amount of hours that we had last year. And I think Joplin can do it. I really believe that between the college students and the high school students and the adults in Joplin, that we can get this done.
So you mentioned groups. Are you encouraging a lot of whether civic groups or churches or youth or the high school groups to do it as a
Actually, I had
team?
a medical office call me today and say, we want to ring bells. And I said, well, what times do you want me to put down? And she goes, well, when do you start? I said, 9 a.m. And she said, and when do you finish? I said, 9 p.m. And she said, okay, we'll sign us up for all those. And I was like, okay, well, that may almost double us this year. So, not quite, but, but she goes, what if we can't find enough people? I said, then you can let me know. We'll fix that.
Fill those gaps,
But
right.
fill those gaps. But it was just really cute. But that's what we're encouraging this year, because it's no fun to stand out there by yourself. I've done this. It's no fun. But it is fun where 2 or 3 people get together and they can sing and laugh and welcome people to the stores that
going
we're
to the
ringing
stores.
at. Yeah, and just encouraging them, and just being there encourages people to give.
When they see other people around and visiting and enjoying it.
And what's fun, something that we do with our board and our staff, is we have a ring off. So companies can do this. Or, whenever I was here, going to school here, our sociology club would ring bells, and we'd try to get another group to ring against us to see which group could bring in
A
the
little
most.
competition
Yes,
there,
a little
yeah.
competition. Friendly, but still, but it's fun. We do it, usually at a Walmart. So there's 2 entrances, and on the same day, same time. So it's pretty even. You can't say, well, you had the better spot or whatever. So so we would love to see more of that happening too. Dentist against dentist, or lawyer against lawyer, whatever.
Or companies
So,
against
yes,
companies.
Yeah, company against company.
Yeah, little good rival is
Yeah,
not a bad thing.
it's always fun.
And if we find we came from Indianapolis, and in Indianapolis the churches really went against each other, and so it was always very interesting. And there was this group of churches that they were trying to outdo each other, and they got one young lady that was just so enthusiastic about bringing more volunteers, and she was back at that table every Sunday going, I still need people for this. And their church just blasted the rest of the churches they were competing against out of the water, because she was just really assertive and trying to get people to volunteer, and they did a great job. So I
Excellent.
think it's possible. I
Key
think
person with that enthusiasm to just carry
the right
through from there.
person, that's what matters.
Major Douglas, people might wonder, as they're walking in and out of the stores and seeing the bell ringers, this does indeed have a major impact on your ability to provide these services, the financial side.
Yeah,
of things.
it really does. We kept the goal the same as it was last year because we didn't reach it, and that's 315,000. A lot of folks don't realize that this bell ringing effort started in 1879 by a captain in the Salvation Army out on the West Coast in San Francisco. He would notice that when the ships came in for the holidays, the men on the ships, the sailors, had no place to go, no one to spend a Christmas dinner with, and so he got a big old black metal kettle and bells and started ringing on the docks. And that's how the Christmas bell ringing began 137 years ago. And it's sort of been a traditional part of the Christmas season that people would come and ring. Everybody knows the Christmas carol, Silver Bells. Well, that was written because of the Salvation Army.
Because of the bells ringing and things.
And so it's become a valid part for the Salvation Army. We have to really raise that kind of dollars to help operate the continual work of the Salvation Army at Christmas time, but the social service programs and ministries throughout the rest of the year. And a lot of folks don't realize that all that money, majority of our money comes back. Like out of every dollar raised, 82 or 83 cents is spent on
Comes
people
back
here.
to the Joplin
into
region.
Joplin.
Yes.
That was the question, as people say, well, I put my
Yeah.
money in the bucket, does it help people in my community?
Stays.
It's 82 cents to 80, what's about 82 and a half cents right now. It stays in the community, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see people come in and out. It could be in the size of the donation. Sometimes people put $1 and sometimes 50 cents, but sometimes you get those surprise big donations. That
Yeah,
are nice.
it just it really helps us to help others because I think even in our community where there's a lot of groups and agencies doing things to help folks, the name that most people realize to come help is the Salvation Army. And so they'll come there first, and sometimes we can't meet their need, and we have to try to help them find that need. But we do the best, doing the most with what we have, doing the most good. That's the slogan of the Salvation Army, with what we have. And actually, the Salvation Army is probably rated in some of these Forbes and some others as the #1 charity in America for giving, because they know that what the Army does is they put it back into the people wherever they may be in our country, and to help. And that's always been the philosophy of William Booth, our founder, is doing the most good with what you have and always giving a strong account of what you get. And so the Salvation Army always has good backing of where they get the funds and how it's spent, and so we try to help the most that we can.
tying that together.
And so for us here, we could probably, if we had the resources, we could help a lot more.
It's just limited by the
Definitely.
resources you
Yeah.
have
It's
available,
limited by
tying that
that,
together,
yes.
right? Well, you mentioned the angel tree as far as, buying a gift specifically on that list for a child or gifts for those people, and then giving that one aspect of, share a story perhaps where you've been there, where you've done the distribution, where the kids come in with their families and receive these gifts. What's that like?
That's fun. Last year was our first year to do a drive-through distribution. Wasn't real sure how that was going to work out, and we hope that we have great weather, because last year we had really good weather for it, and so we're praying for that again. But it worked out really well. But to see the families come through, usually they don't bring their children with them because they don't
give
want
it to them at Christmas time,
right? They don't want to know that that's where their gifts are coming, and that's understandable. But last year we had some police officers come and stand outside with us, and we had one that really got involved in loading gifts and food boxes and talking to people and stuff. And I think, to me, that was one of the biggest blessings last year, that he was willing to step in there, and then to see the families that respond
Right.
to him, to being out there, and just making that connection with him. But some of the things that we've heard, a family came in last year, and we had a electric Barbie car donated, and the person that came back and to pick that up, because we called him, because we had it assigned to him, but we forgot to give it to him whenever
When they came to
yeah
get
when they came to get it, and they came back, and he was just so grateful. He was that's just heartwarming when you see that thankfulness, because that he's not going to be able to do that for his child, and he knows what that's going to mean to his child. So to see that overwhelming joy that he knows his children are going to have a great Christmas morning is. It just, I mean, it gives me tingles. It's just, it's
so you know you made a difference in her life.
You've made a difference, and that only happens because of the community. I mean, we can't do that. We don't have the funds to do that ourselves. So we think our community is just wonderful to step up to the plate and be willing to give those kind of gifts and things like that. That not everybody. It doesn't have to be that. I gave a little doll, a little Barbie doll that was a mermaid, and the girl's response was, "I've always wanted one of these." It was a little Barbie. I mean, a $15 Barbie, but it made her day
because she wasn't able to get one otherwise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was, she was just thrilled. So those kind of things are just when you get to see that, and we'd love to have volunteers to help do distribution to witness some of that, because it is just, it's wonderful for all the hard work that you do that day. Makes it extremely enjoyable.
Lives changing.
Yes.
We had a young lady that volunteered. Her grandmother happens to be in our board, and she volunteered for the first time with distribution last year, and it was so fun to watch her get so excited as we called off the numbers and they took the bags out and made sure that all the bags were there, because we put every child in a different bag. So it was just really fun to watch her, and afterwards she said to her grandma, "I'm doing my report on the Salvation Army." She says, "Everybody needs to know about Distribution Day." And she rang bells that last year with her friend and got a little certificate and was so proud of it. But those times where we don't just impact the families we're giving to, but the people that are volunteering.
People who are giving their time and their efforts.
Because that's future donors in my mind that we're going to be impressing upon. But I think one of the coolest things we got last year was, and I've never gotten this before, was a thank you card from somebody that truly was in crisis last year. When you look back over the rows, that person hasn't gotten help from us, but they were in crisis with their family and they needed help, and they came in and we were able to help them. And she wrote the most beautiful thank you note and talked about how her kids responded on Christmas morning so we could see into their home without being there. And that was just really a special gift. We kept that up on the wall a long time, trying to focus on that. So
hearing the feedback from the people that you're helping really makes a big difference in tying that together. And of course, I know you have a lot of ongoing programs year-round. You mentioned meals at their holidays. You have meals year-round and so forth. But you still need people when it comes time for Thanksgiving or Christmas meals to come in and help you serve the other people?
And they can register on the website for that. We actually serve Monday through Friday breakfast and lunch, and Saturday we serve lunch. So we can always use volunteers Monday through Friday in the preparation, as well as the serving and the cleanup of those programs. So we have the feeding program, and we do emergency boxes, but it's on a very limited basis, mainly because we don't have the funds to go out and do that. So. But we're serving about 150 to 175 people a day. Plus on Thursdays we do mobile meals. And so we have a church, we provide the food, and there's 2 churches that take it out to the outlying areas and to the lower income housing
there's like
units.
Homebound people and so forth, or
Homebound,
senior citizens?
Homeless. Yeah, homeless. And last week they served 170 people.
Yeah, or really low income people that, they may just need a hot meal because they're not going to have a full meal. So and we have different stops that we've found that most people live around there, so they try to come to that area. So we don't go door to door, but we
you have kind of a central gathering point.
Yes, at different locations. Yeah, and they know it's been doing it for a year and a half now, or 2 years almost something like that. And so we've kind of got the same locations, and if something's changed a little bit, we'll adjust. But for the most part, it's the same.
So if they can't come to you for the food, you can help bring the food to them.
Yes, yes. One night a week we do that. Yes.
And tying that together. Well, if people are watching, we need more information. I know we had the website, but what's the best way to call to reach your offices?
The phone number is 417-624-4528. And
of course, we have the website on the screen as well.
On the screen, and then our Facebook page. So that's the best way. And Monday through Thursday we have a receptionist, so she can put you through the right person.
And you mentioned Facebook, social media growing. That's another way to reach people. And let them
we get a lot of questions on Facebook. And we try to respond to those within a few hours. We try not to leave those hanging overnight. Because some of us are workaholics, so we have a tendency to check our phone later in the evening, and probably shouldn't be, but we are. So we try to get information back out to people as quickly as possible, and that's something our our Facebook page is rated really high for, so it's real interesting.
People like that response. That's why they're sending those messages through
right.
Facebook.
And sometimes that's the only way they have to contact us. You know, a lot of families don't have phones or they have to use the library, so they use it when they can.
Or when they're use the computer, send a message.
Or they use a friend's phone, so they get on it when they can and stuff. So that's sometimes the only way that they have to contact us and to actually get a message back to them. So yeah, that works out really well.
Well, I know we've been talking about the holidays today, but you are a year-round service organization, so if somebody wants to help you in January or February, there's plenty of jobs to do, things they can do.
Absolutely.
Plenty.
A couple of different things. Other than the feeding program, we have a store, the family store, and most people don't know that the profit from that comes back to our building to be used for social services.
So right here in Joplin.
Right here in Joplin. It stays in Joplin. And so we get questions about that we're selling the things. The reason we're selling them is so we can feed the hungry, so that we can take care of the people that need rent or utilities.
So we can keep somebody's lights on.
Yeah, and that's where that money goes to. And so they could use volunteers all year long.
So as items comes in, I imagine just sorting the items
sorting
and
of
preparing
them,
them for store.
Yep, and putting them in the right places, and maybe just dusting the shelves. We have volunteers that mainly what they do is come in and dust the shelves for us, because you just don't have enough people working. You can't pay enough people.
Right, so you need the volunteers behind the scenes to make these things happen.
And so we've had 3 volunteer groups in this last week, and our store manager's like, well, that was a busy week. I said, but look how clean the store is.
But those are things you probably don't have a lot of time to do if you're trying to run a store. You don't have time to think, I've got to go back there and clean or anything organized.
Because we are kept to a very minimal amount of employees, so that the profits from that can go back to help the community. And my husband and I feel very strongly about there being a limit on that. And so what our goal is to achieve being able to stay solvent at the building where we do social services, because of the lack of funding otherwise. So because we've lost funding this year from HUD, and that will continue. Hopefully we won't lose it totally next year. Hopefully it'll just move to a different area, but we've lost some funding because we're probably the best kept secret in Joplin, that we've had a family shelter for 20 years. And we're going to be closing its doors. They don't like me to use that word, but we're closing the doors of the physical shelter, and we're moving to rapid rehousing. And in rapid rehousing, people will automatically get put into
to rental
appointments.
facilities, a housing.
And we're hoping that we get funding for that. We have a little bit, but we need more. And so we're looking at trying to match that dollar with Salvation Army funds from Christmas. That's our goal.
To have enough to
make up for that. And we're transitioning into that and helping those families that are in our shelter transition out
to a place that they have to rent.
Yeah, that's going to mean that we're paying the rent and deposit and probably utilities for a while for these people till they get
sufficient on their self-sufficient.
Exactly, because that's what happens when they're in our shelter. You know, they're all their expenses are taken care of at that time. Well, when we transition from the shelter to that still has to happen, because homeless people don't just automatically have the funds to
write
get
a check to say, here's my rent.
So that's where we're going to be,
really intensifying.
Yeah. So we're really going to, have to work with landlords and have people willing to take second chances on these families and stuff that have gone through, whatever the crisis may be, and they've gotten either evicted or moved out on their own before an eviction happened or whatever, but now they're homeless again, and
they need
so
to have that help.
So we're looking for landlords that are willing to take the risk.
Yeah,
it really is a risk. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank the 3 of you for being here today. I know that a lot of information for our audience and ways to help you out is contact you. So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank
you for having us.
Information. And thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. We'll see you again next time.